Hi folks, comic book creator and Lost in Space superfan Jeff Nicholson here. This time focusing entirely on a single episode, Junkyard in Space. I wouldn't call this a top 10 episode, but I wouldn't call it a clunker either. It's a good middle-of-the-road episode that I always enjoy, and it's the final episode of the original series. I want to start with one of the craziest aspects of the episode, which I never thought about as a kid, and that's the minimal presence and then complete disappearance of Professor Robinson and Maureen Robinson from the episode. Apparently, Irwin Allen had a little beef going with actors Guy Williams and June Lockhart after they couldn't stop cracking up during the filming of The Great Vegetable Rebellion. Here you can see Mark Goddard turning away from the camera to avoid ruining the shot with his laughter, but apparently the other two caused more trouble than that. Irwin scolded them that they were out of the next 3 episodes as punishment. And in filming order, that would next be Fugitives in Space, then Space Beauty. Neither of those episodes had any shots of John and Maureen. Then Junkyard in Space. More details on how they fared in a moment, but first let's get to the plot of this episode. We start off in space, even though they weren't seen departing a planet in the last episode. That's just the nature of Season 3. When they discover a new planet, the robot sneaks off in the pod to explore on his own, but eventually the J2 lands as well, and they are all marooned there, trapped by the powers of the Junkman, a sort of sentient human robot made of old debris. He's played by Marcel Hillier, who also played the lead prisoner in Condemned of Space. It took me years of viewings to ever notice this was the same actor, due to the differing makeup, but I enjoy his performances in both. His appearance changes further as he greedily acquires parts from our favorite B9 robot, and later covets the entire Jupiter too, to control all things mechanical, having no empathy for the humans who will be without food and shelter on this barren world. So let's get back to the absence of our parental heroes as the plot progresses. These scenes inside the upper deck set were the first to be shot on Monday for that week of filming, and the last for June Lockhart, who didn't appear for the rest of the week due to Irwin's banishment. Her character only gets one scene about the ship's food having a rust blight, and then simply doesn't appear again. A kind of sadly invisible exit from the series from one of the original stars of the show. Guy Williams gets relegated to being down on the power unit working on the ship, so he's oddly absent from all the shots with the rest of the cast exploring the planet and meeting the Junkman. His last shot was on Wednesday, where he suddenly returns to the story. Here's seen taking off his jetpack in search of food, maybe? They don't even really say. Off he goes, and we never see him again. Now let's pause to admire the sets, one of my favorite subjects. Stage 17 serves as the upper deck and front yard area throughout Season 3, but here we have a much more austere setup. Despite the junk props, there is less vegetation set dressing as we usually see. The dimensions of the cyclorama are more exposed this way, but I like it because they remind me of Season 1, where the planet was supposed to resemble the bleakness of the Trona Pinnacles, where they did the initial outdoor chariot shots. Stage 11 has the same treatment for the reveal of the trapped robot and the random walkabout scenes, here with a crazy devil robot. And the crew really had a blast with the pyrotechnics, taking old prop pieces and hurling them down from the rafters, loaded with fireworks. With the sound effects, it's impressive stuff for television of the time. Also, the Junkman's cave is there on Stage 11. The Junkman ultimately steals the ship with Dr. Smith. Professor Robinson is still off on his jetpack. He never even actually had a scene with the Junkman, and he actually never even shared a scene with June Lockhart. Their limited roles never overlapped on this episode, even though it was the final one, and we have no idea where she went while the ship was stolen. In the end, the Junkman suddenly gains a conscience and frees the cast, or those who are still present anyway, and returns the ship and all the robot's stolen parts. If it were written today, there would be some creepy AI aspect to him, but as it is, it's all a bit Wizard of Oz in tone. The final shots of the week that Friday also happened to be the last presented in the episode. It isn't always the case, as the demands of set dressing can put things wildly out of order sometimes, but this time they really were the final shots. And how fitting that the 3 characters who kind of stole the entire series, Will Smith and the robot, who dominated so much of Season 2, are the last to appear. And you guessed it, Either by design or by Jonathan Harris's force of will, he gets the very last foot of frame on his character before he dashes out of the scene, "Wet for thee!" and a fade to black. There are apparently memos from the Irwin Allen archives where he considered how he could drop Williams and Lockhart from the show if a season 4 came to be. A sort of Dawn and Judy show, plus Penny, with ever-present Will Smith and the robot. Kinda hard to imagine, but it never came to be. Thanks for joining me. Huge kudos to Mark Cushman as always. And hey, wander over to Amazon Kindle and the Jeff Nicholson store if you want to check out some of my stuff. 45 years of comic book output is all there digitally. I'll be back with more cliffhanger recuts from season 1 soon. Bye-bye.